Nadeem, really appreciate you taking time out of your morning to join me here for this interview. How are you?
I'm great, man, and likewise.
All right. So the reason I invited you on is because I saw some nice wins from you in the freelancing campus. Could you explain what they were about?
Yeah, so I had my first couple of wins around August, and I made mostly around like 500-ish in the first 3 months, and I was able to triple that as time went on. And this month, I basically got my first retainer, and yesterday I got paid as well. So I've definitely gotten my money's worth and a great ROI, in fact.
Clarify a bit more in terms of figures. How much money have you made?
So far I've made, to be exact, $5,480, and that was in the span of only 6 months.
Did you have any prior experience with freelancing before joining the real world?
I mean, I didn't even have experience with video editing. I found that out when I joined, how good I was at it and how I had an eye for it. I've always been an artistic / creative person, and going through that course made me realize how potentially I could use that to my advantage and make large sums of money without really pulling a sweat. There is hard work involved, of course, but it just taught me that it's a lot easier than what my brain seems to think. And so I think the first time I ever even touched the software was at the beginning of the year, and I never touched it ever since. And then at the beginning of 2022, and then I went back to it in the freelancing course, knowing that people were actually making money off of this. I thought it was just like, fooling around. But when I took it seriously, the fruits of my labor basically shown up.
How many hours were you putting in when you first joined the real world, and has that changed since?
So when I first joined the real world, I didn't have a choice in anything, because I knew if I'm going to join this and pay my last $50, which is I even borrowed like some of it from family, I knew I had to do something, and I knew I had to double it at least and be able to pay for the next month, because I really did like the material inside. And so the first day, I probably spent all day just going through the copywriting course, listening to all the videos, asking as much questions as I can. And as time went on, I spent at least 5 hours of my day just reviewing course. And once I reached a point to be confident enough to be able to use my skills outside of the real world, that's when I started lessening the amount I was there for. I'd say maybe just checking in sometimes, seeing the updates, the announcements, seeing if there's any news on the algorithms and things like that. And now I still do go on the real world every day, at least for 2 to 3 hours a day, because the information is just it's packed with information. And I could be there, I could leave for half an hour, and then there'll be huge updates coming in, and people giving gold nuggets, and so there is a huge incentive to be in the real world, as far as I'm concerned. Being there for a couple hours sometimes isn't even enough with the amount of information being thrown in every second.
So speaking of the information and all the material that is in the real world, how different would you say it is compared to what's out there on the internet?
So I think I've only joined one course before the real world, and I'm not sure if you heard of it. It was the Jay Mazzini course. It was crypto stuff, and that turned out to be a huge scam. And I ended up losing a lot of money there, and that basically turned me off from courses entirely. And I really didn't even want to dive into that world again. But I think Tate is what really made it more appealing, because he seemed to me like a trustworthy source just by the way he speaks and how articulate his words are, and his life experiences. And so if a guy like that says that this program can actually make me money, then I mean, hell, I'll give it a shot. And I definitely haven't regretted my decision ever since.